Hello there, Scorpio. I created a reading for the month of March and I posted it on Vimeo. I've been doing that for a couple months now to get a feel for, whether or not people are interested in doing something, spending a couple of dollars on a deeper reading. I spend the rest of the month posting weekly readings, posting purpose, prosperity, and love readings, posting the moon readings, like full moon and new moon. And it's like, okay, well, are people willing to step up and go a little bit deeper into these longer readings, 25, 27 minutes long, for an in-depth overview of what to expect for your month ahead. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little sneak peek so you can see whether or not you want to go in depth and further with that reading. I'm Michelle B, by the way. Introduce myself for those of you who don't already know me. So what I like to do in these readings is I like to talk about what to embrace and what to leave behind for the month ahead, and that informs the vibration of the rest of the reading. And then I look at the triad of awesomeness, as I like to call it: your purpose, your prosperity, and your love life. What do I mean by purpose? I mean what you do that lights you up, that you enjoy, that benefits not just you but other people as well. And then I look at your prosperity and abundance. That's your resources, your stuff that improves the quality of your life, gives you flexibility and adaptability, and helps you stay healthy and strong. And then I'm looking at love, your love lives. And I know that that happens on a spectrum. There are those of you who are in committed relationships, there are those of you who are looking to be in a committed relationship, and those of you who are perfectly happy being single but want guidance on how to love yourself better, and also how to navigate the intimate relationships that you do have that aren't necessarily romantic. You can look at all of that when I go into each of those three aspects in the big reading, but you can look at all of them and get some good advice on how to handle the love in your life. Okay, so without any further ado, I'm going to talk about the sneak peek of what came up in your reading, what to embrace and what to leave behind. It said, embrace the Ten of Pentacles, leave behind the Lovers. And it's all about knowing that you can create your happiness right now, and you don't have to wait for it to come from someone else, right? You have learned, or you're kind of digesting what happened in the past in your connections with other people, how it did create some hardship in your life, right? It did create, a lot of stuff happened that you felt was unfair to you, and you're just like, okay, what did I learn from that? It happened. What did I learn from it? How did I grow? And so you're just like, ooh, kind of turning that around, and you're like, okay, well, maybe it turned into something. It turned me into a person that can be adaptable, reliable, stable, so that I can create a long-term legacy that benefits not just me, but many other people. So you're like, I know that things weren't so great or haven't been so great for me, but it did create the person that I am right now. And I know now that my happiness isn't dependent on my relationships with other people. It's dependent on my attitude at this moment. This is informed the rest of the whole reading. Okay, so now we're going to look at the purpose. The Empress card came up in reverse, and it's about, I'm looking at my notes here while I'm talking to you. It's about embracing the resources that are already at your disposal as you're trying to create this legacy, this big thing that you're doing. It's saying, like, I have all these things already, and I don't have to wait for somebody else to be giving things to me, because the Empress in the upright position, she's looking around and she's like, everything that I have around me, I created, because I'm the goddess. I'm the goddess of the earth, right? And so I created everything that's around me. That means it's here for me to use. Why don't I use it? You don't have to wait for permission from somebody else. You are the Empress. You're the top of the food chain. So go ahead and use it, right? And then we have the prosperity and abundance that I looked at. We got the Justice in reverse. Now, let's see what I wrote here. perceived helplessness, turning attitude toward increasing abundance. So if in the past you felt like you were helpless economically because of unfairness with the way that people treated you in the past, you're realizing now, you're coming to terms now with the idea that just because things weren't fair before doesn't mean that they will always be unfair for me. And it also doesn't mean that I can't be happy now just because things were unfair. Acknowledging that things were unfair, don't deny it, right? But there is also no denying how much you've grown and how adaptable and flexible you've become because of the hardships that you've endured. And so you're like, I can be happy now, and it doesn't have to be dependent on whether or not somebody ripped me off in the past. I can be okay with who I am at this moment. I can be okay with the resources that I have. So first you start by changing your attitude toward the positive, regardless of the conditions around you. And what happens is, as your attitude turns positive, the reasons to be positive start coming in. Awesome things start showing up. And that's something that I go over in the reading, in the in-depth reading. So there's like, with this love card being the waiting card, the Three of Wands, there's all this like waiting energy that you've been stuck in the past that you're overcoming right now. Waiting for somebody else to do something for you, waiting for other people to make a situation fair that was unfair in the past. And this is waiting for somebody to treat you right? What's up with that? You're done with that. You're done with waiting for things to be fair. You're ready for things to just be good in your life. It just depends on where you are at this moment. I'm encouraging you to, in the in-depth reading, I'm looking at all the aspects of different kinds of relationships that you could have with this as the kickoff starting point. But it's like, it's all about setting your intentions, creating the mantra, creating the atmosphere of programming for yourself to know what your value is, and to pay attention to times that people do treat you right, when people do take care of you, and when people do have your best interests at heart. This is where I'm going to leave off, Scorpio. Like I said, if you loved the nature of this reading, if you're curious about what's coming up in that reading, go ahead and hit the link in the description box below. It's a couple dollars, and you get to have that in-depth reading. And thank you so much for being with me right now. Thank you so much for tuning in to all the other readings that I create all month long. And I love you. And have a wonderful March. I'll see you later, Scorpio.